Uh, Recognize the gentleman from Oregon, Mr. Blumenauer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this is an extraordinarily valuable hearing, an exercise to give us a sense of what the challenges are. And frankly, it has been an amazing reminder for me of what we were going through during that fraught period. I was going into my office at 7 in the morning trying to deal with people who were desperate because they couldn't crack the unemployment system. And that, frankly, we all hands on deck for that. These people were in danger of losing their business, losing their homes. They were frantic that they couldn't get through. Now, this was a state failure. The federal government gave money. Texas wasn't the only state. I heard this around the country. You probably had that experience in your office dealing with desperate people. And so this hearing helps us set the context and is a powerful reminder for me of what we were going through. Being overwhelmed by demands, a 3,000% increase in unemployment insurance claims, that's the reality that we were facing. On balance, I think I am appalled at the amount of fraud that occurred, but given the urgency trying to help desperate people, I understand why we were there. The question is, how do we make sure that we're no longer there? Mr. Durrell, you mentioned that you gave recommendations to the previous administration and couldn't find in the midst of this that they were moving forward. I agree with Mr. Kelly. I'm not interested in pointing fingers one way or another, but I do think it is important that we don't lose track of the hard work of oversight, that we claw back every dime that we can, and that we're prepared for the next contingency, because it's coming. We know that, and we can learn from those valuable lessons. I think it's important, however, to put some of these things in context. My friend Mr. Kelly wondered how the business model continues the way we're doing it. I'd like to offer one other area. There's $468 billion to $600 billion a year of taxes due and owing that we're not collecting. It's up to $7 trillion over the next 10 years. There's no business in your district that would sustain losses on that order of magnitude with the accounts receivable. We know where that fraud, it's fraud, cheating, breaking the law is. It's interesting that higher earners, like partnership income, proprietorship income, rental income, noncompliance can reach 55%. Now, I hope that the indignation that we are expressing towards a program that was meant to save desperate people, that can be transferred to an area of much greater loss. There are some people that think maybe we ought to threaten default on the national debt because they're concerned about deficit spending. This is up to $7 trillion. That's not new taxes. That's not cutting programs. It's collecting money that's due and payable to the federal government. And it's keeping faith with the hardworking majority of people who actually pay their taxes. So I hope that we keep this spirit of concern for oversight and economy and zero in on the people who cheated the federal government on unemployment insurance. But I hope there is still an era of indignation about the far greater source of lost revenues from primarily rich people who forget to declare their income. That is even more important. And this is an ongoing loss of revenue, $500, $600 billion a year that's lost. Mr. Kelly, we can't keep doing business if we're not collecting money that's due and payable. That's not keeping faith with small business people that you represent or I represent. So I hope we can make this a constructive effort on oversight, but that we have a broader sense of responsibility and reclaiming lost revenue. Thank you. I appreciate your indulgence.
Thank you, Representative.